Hello and welcome to another edition of Off the Record. I am Sean Smith and I'm joined by the beautiful and awesome Shannon Keating.
Oh, is that my cue?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. Hey, what's up?
And we're here with some very special guests, Positive Negative Man. How are you guys?
Pretty good. How's it going?
Yes, doing fine. Do
you guys want to introduce yourselves by name or?
My name is Pete. I play bass. This is Mike.
You're looking for me for affirmation. My name is Mike Feeney. I'm the guitarist and one of the singers for the band. And
awesome. It's great to have you guys here. Thanks so much for coming in. So,
well, thank you.
First off, what got you guys into music originally?
That's an interesting question. Into music. So a number of different things.
We want the exact moment, date, and time.
Moment.
Yes.
Oh, WRKO, 1975. Bohemian Rhapsody came on the air, and that's when I got hooked.
Nice.
Okay, and then
good answer.
Showed up in Boston for college and got to see the Neighborhoods live for the first time, 10 feet away from me, and that's when I knew I wanted to be a musician.
Cool.
I've always just loved music. Growing up, my mom always had music on the radio, albums. It's just something that's, I don't know, I've always been drawn to it. And I couldn't be as specific as Mr. Feeney here, but.
How long have you guys been together?
Let me see. We've been playing together since 2012.
Cool.
In different iterations, but consistently we've been gigging since 2012 out in the Boston area.
Awesome.
Cool. So were you guys in bands prior to Positive Negative Man, or?
Yeah, I actually moved here from Seattle in 2009, and I was in several bands out there. And when I moved here, I was looking to just start playing music with somebody, and answered an ad on Craigslist, and met this guy, and there you go.
Yeah, little did we know that we actually lived a block away from each other.
Oh, wow.
And so we'd be taking the same bus in, and Pete would be sitting there, and I'd walk in and sit down on the bus, and I remember seeing Pete, and
yeah, I remember seeing you too, and thinking, man, this guy's like, he's weird, man. What's going on with this dude, man?
Yeah, I do tend to carry myself in a certain way. And so I then put up the ad, and we met at a bar in Oak Square in Brighton, and it's like, oh, I know you. Wait a minute, don't you ride the bus? Oh, and that's kind of like where it came from.
Yeah, and we were kind of into the same type of music, and it just kind of just happened, and things have been going great.
Yeah. Before that, I was doing soundscaping, doing a lot of atmospheric tape looping type of guitar work with mixing in found sounds, making up sound scapes and movie themes for movies that exist.
Oh, that's
and releasing
cool.
That.
Nice.
I put out, I think, close to 15 albums of stuff out that's still floating around the internet somewhere.
Can you name a couple of those movies that you?
Oh yeah, War of the Worlds, the original one with George Powell.
Oh, cool.
I remember that because that scared the heck out of me when I was a kid, and it still does. Believe me, if you want to see a great movie, not the Tom Cruise one. No, the one that was done in the 50s.
Tom Cruise one's pretty good.
Yeah, it's Tom Cruise.
I like that one. I thought that one was pretty good too.
Thank you.
I'll just say this, that Tom Cruise plays Tom Cruise in every movie he's ever been in.
Yes.
Oh, he's always running from something.
Yeah, well, yes, from himself.
That's right.
Sometimes. But that's what I do, is to do that. And but I always wanted to be in a band. And so really when Pete walked in the door, that's when it started to happen.
Nice. So I have to ask, are you guys fans of the Avengers? And I have to clarify to the folks at home that this is not Marvel's Avengers, but the British spy-fi TV show from the 60s.
Oh, I always thought you were talking about Penelope Houston and the Avengers from Los Angeles.
No.
The original Avengers.
Yes, because there is an episode from
you
that
found
show.
it.
Yeah, an episode from that show. Is that from?
Yeah. Well, Pete named the band.
Oh, okay. And is that where it's from?
It's from a song which was from the show that Mike had written, and we had another name, and it just wasn't. It was just a mouthful, and we just decided to go with the song, and it kind of worked, and the title. It's also actually kind of a mouthful, but
we had
working.
Another drummer before Ian Wilson, and so he was kind of, we played under the name Unrighteous Creature, and I stole that from Monty Python, figuring that would be a great place to steal from the best. And so that worked for a while, but one of my main problems in life is typing and typographical errors. Now, just try and imagine every time you're going to write an email saying Unrighteous Creature. It's just a typo heaven.
I can see that, yeah.
And so we're trying to think of different things, and the song originally, I remember seeing that as a kid, and for some reason the title stuck in my head, and so I decided to write a song along those lines, and we actually played it out under the other name, and then up came the time for a change for a name, and that's when we came up, when Pete suggested Positive Negative Man, and we've been that ever since.
Yeah, it just seemed to make sense. And I do like the show, the original show too.
Mm-hmm.
So and
cool. And
who does not like Diana Rigg?
Yes.
And that show had a bit of has still a bit of a cult following. Is that something that your fans kind of mimic? A cult following?
Well, I think that's kind of where we're working.
Mm-hmm.
That's always what you're looking for, is to get a fan base and who is clued into what you're thinking and such. And so, I would say so.
Nice.
Yeah. But that's part of the reason why we play out a lot, is so we're trying to get more ears on the music. Because I think that what we try to do is to do something that's different than you hear now. Because a lot of times we've done a lot of shows, and it seems to be we're listening to bands that are kind of like doing jam end of things, and
very self-indulgent bands.
Like heavy metal jam bands. I mean, think about that.
I did not know that was a thing.
Well, I just made it up. But that's what it seems like. So you got these certain types of sounds that just kind of like, they're not distinct. And so one of the things I've always remembered is distinct and short and to the point, and make a point.
Yeah.
What genre of music would you identify yourselves as?
That is always hard to say, because
I hear
smattering of a lot of different things, and so that's why pigeonholing yourself into a certain place. Usually, other people will do that for you. But what ends up happening when we play and talking with people, it's very strange, because usually they'll come up to us and they'll give us a different take on, you sound like such and such. It's always a different band every single time.
I have a couple.
So what's your impression?
A little bit of Danny Elfman, and a little bit of when I listened to Gasoline, I thought the first thing I thought was Rock Lobster. Yeah.
All right, that's great.
That's unique, actually, in the perception, and that's the wonderful thing about music, is that you bring your own perception to it.
Everybody hears something different.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Oingo Boingo and B-52s.
Yeah, exactly.
I dig both of those bands.
Yeah, I know you do.
I know you don't.
What do you mean I don't?
You're a snob, dude.
I am. I'm not a snob.
Oingo Boingo's the stuff, man.
Yeah.
I like pretty girls because they are so good. Yes.
Young girls.
Young girls. Little girls?
Little girls.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay.
That's always
the song.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Young, pretty, little.
Yeah. Okay, my memory isn't that good. Last time I heard that was a long time ago.
So when did you guys play your first show as a band?
2012. at PA's Lounge
Yeah.
in Somerville.
Oh.
PAs.
We had a residency there for three straight weeks, and that
Wow.
kind of is where it all started.
That's cool.
And then from there, we ended up. I think the next show was at Club Bohemia in Cambridge, and that kind of has turned into our clubhouse in some ways, in that we played there the most. I think it's the downstairs club that's underneath the Cantab in Central Square in Cambridge.
Cool.
And then from there, we just did a show at in Providence at a place called
Salon.
The Salon, yeah. And it was called the cutting room downstairs?
Yeah, it was
I think
downstairs.
it was. Yeah. So.
Yeah, we seem to be relegated to the basement.
Yeah.
Most of the
Lots
time,
of
but
It seems
cool.
that it's an appropriate place for this type of music. Actually,
That's right. Underground.
Yeah, I remember one time we were playing Club Bohemia, and we were playing downstairs, and upstairs they had this sort of like Jimmy Buffett sort of like party band up there that plays for 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's the middle of winter, and it is 10 degrees, and so there's a front stairs and then there's a back stairs, and upstairs is crowded, and so we're trying to move the equipment out, and down the stairs come these three younger women who are basically look like they're dressed for Miami Beach. And so my first reaction, look at them, was, "Would you like a coat? You look cold." But that's the Cantab Lounge. You just don't know what's going to happen when you're there, who you're going to meet.
Yeah.
And it's run by Mickey Bliss, who's been around for a long time in the Boston music scene.
Cool.
So,
Is that your favorite place to perform?
well, Pete, how about you?
I mean, we've played there a lot, so we're really comfortable. We know like the sound of it. There was a club called Radio, which was kind of up the street from PA's, which is now Thunder Road.
Yeah.
That we had a really good show. That was actually in the basement too.
Yeah, it was.
That was a good place.
It was small, and the place had wood paneling on it. It felt like you were playing someone's den.
Nice.
But you know what? My favorite place is any place that'll have us play, actually, because it doesn't,
That's
as
the
long as
spirit.
we've done shows. Where was it? The Pit Road Lounge in Concord.
Yeah, that was
So
cool.
That was interesting.
yeah.
We never been. Is it Sades?
Sadie's.
It is
Yeah.
Sadie's. Okay. Yeah, Sadie's. We've never been there, so I always like to play a new place, see what it's like. It's a form of adventure and exploring.
Yeah.
So what usually comes first for you guys when you're writing songs? Music or lyrics or?
For me, it's usually it's a fragment of lyric, and then I kind of build from that, whether it's for a verse or for a chorus, or I just have this phrase in my mind, and it kind of just, that's how it starts, and then I kind of just build off of that. It's so, I don't know, it's usually from that phrase the melody will come from there, and then like I said, everything else kind of, it gets built around that for me. So
whereas I don't really write songs as songs. Usually it's kind of, I get into a where I start to do arrangements and I come up with something, and then when I practice, and then when the only time I really have to myself is when I ride the bus in the morning to work, and so that's when I write all my lyrics. And so a lot of times it's I have to have it starts out with an idea or something I want to talk about, and then they kind of get assembled somewhere in between, and then I come up with basically the arrangement and the lyrics, and then I bring it to Pete, and then we start to collaborate on that for bass, and then for the rhythm track and drums, and it kind of works its way. So it really depends. It depends on the time of day. It depends on what's going on in my life. It's not. I'm not going to sit down and say I'm going to write a song about X. It doesn't work that way.
Just kind of happens.
It just happens, and when the opportunity has, I just write things down. And for playing guitar, sometimes it's a lot of hunt and peck, So you come up with a phrase, and it's like, oh, that sounds nice. I wonder if I did this with it. And then you start to construct it, and then you listen to it, and then I wonder what happens if I did this, and you deconstruct it. Mm-hmm. And so you can have a great song, and it sounds great, and then you deconstruct it, and then it takes it to a different place. So it's a lot of it is mad scientist experimentation, for lack of a better phrase for me.
And then we play, and then when we start playing it at practice, then it kind of, even then, it kind of changes from whatever input Ian or I or Mike will have from it, and it kind of, it's organic, I guess. Yeah. It's always changing. And even when you play out, the song you kind of it never sounds the same or is played the same, and sometimes that can be a good thing. Sometimes it can be a bad thing too, but
yeah, the acoustics of the room change it. Yeah. My great bane in playing is that I destroyed guitar strings. I think after I got done at Sadie's, I had 2 guitars or 3 guitars, and I was down to, I think, 9 strings between 3 of them.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I just and so then it happens in the middle of a song, and you wonder, how can I continue to go on and do this and actually make it work? And so that it becomes an exercise in thinking and terror at the same time, because you want to keep the show going, you want to be entertaining, and but you want to also make sense in what you're doing. And so a lot of times it actually makes me realize sometimes live how superfluous my guitar playing is to the actual product, because I do tend to do a lot of rhythmic things. I don't believe a lot in doing lead guitar. That usually leads to a lot of dead ends and or lack of energy. It loses energy, so it has to be fit with the song. I like to have music that has to have what I call a bounce. If it doesn't have the bounce, it doesn't work, and hopefully we work towards that.
And are you guys good about collaborating when you're writing songs together?
Never. No, we hate each other.
We're kind of starting to do that. Initially, we would kind of just bring songs that each of us had written, and then the collaboration comes from whatever Mike decides, he would like to do with it. I'll bring the guys a song and just say, here are the chords, let's run through it, and then I'm not real specific at first as to what I would want these guys to play, or it's kind of just, it's a group effort at that point. And then when it gets to recording, then kind of things get a little bit more specific, but I guess that's our collaboration. But lately we have been kind of collaborating more. Either you'll give me some lyrics and we can, come up with music, and so yeah, it's an ongoing thing.
So what inspires you guys to do what you do?
Life in general. Just what I see, what's going on around me, whatever is going on in your life, and and listening to lots and lots of music.
Yeah.
You hear something that you like from a musical standpoint, and not to copy it, but to use that as a bit of an emulation. And that's really, it's anything.
Yeah.
What you read, what you hear.
I think I guess I could speak for both of us, just a love of music, and if we're not talking about our music, we're talking about other people's music, and just bands that we've seen. When I see a band live, I'm inspired. I just love music, and there's always a song in my head. I can't help it. It's always in there, whether it's our songs or someone else's songs.
What song is in your head right now?
Right now, it's Oingo Boingo, actually. It's,
nice.
It's running through.
You're welcome.
Yeah. But it's also, for me, it's just a creative outlet, and it's something that I feel like I need to do. Otherwise, I just start getting anxious, and I have to play music, and whether it's luckily it's with the band, but even if it's just at home and just picking up the guitar, and I actually play guitar, but I play bass in this band. So
yes, he took the hit for me.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just to be creative and a love of music. I mean, that's what inspires me.
What are some of your artistic influences? Could be music, it could be
In general,
otherwise. Yeah.
It's for me. It's all over the map, really. From one of the bands that I really listen to a lot and have seen a lot is Mission of Burma.
I've never heard of them.
You've never heard of Mission of Burma?
No.
Okay. They were or are an indie band from Boston that engage in a lot of different types of styles of music. It's a three-piece with a fourth person who does recording of pieces as the bands play and plays it back on a tape loop type of thing, a little bit like Brian Eno did originally with Roxy Music. They did the same thing. And just seeing them play and just the way that it comes out. I like to have like loud, brash, out there type of presentation. So another band would be Killing Joke from England, the creators of what's called metal beat. Huge drums, loud guitar, and basically different slant on life. But I'm also Dadaism from art, all that era from around that time, abstract expressionism, things of that nature. But also I tend to be inspired by Woody Guthrie in some ways, in that I tend to write protest songs, trying to observe just, I really don't like the idea of abuse of power. It makes me crazy, and when I see that, I have to write something about that, or in some sort of way, and some sort of way to explain why I think it's not a good thing.
How about?
I guess for me, it's I'm a huge Beatles fan. Anything like British Invasion, 60s. I also love power pop. Cheap Trick, Big Star, Badfinger. New bands. This band called Temples is really cool. Tame Impala. Those guys are amazing. They're doing some really great stuff. I guess anything like British psychedelic, I'm there, and it's great. And I try and translate that to us sometimes, and sometimes it works, but sometimes what comes out is just what you do, and
its own thing.
You can't be contrived about it and say I want it to be like this. Sometimes it just comes out, and that's what you work with.
The way it's meant to be.
Yeah. I mean, you can't change who you are, or how you play, or what you sound like, and it just, you kind of have to just trust in that and hope other people dig it. So.
Yeah, I agree completely. Yeah. So what songs do you guys perform most frequently, do you think?
What do you mean? Like the songs that's in our set?
Yeah.
At this point? Well, we kind of mix and match. We have right now we're recording a new album.
Oh, okay.
So we're kind of always in a flux as to what we play, because a lot of times we're trying to hone and perfect what we're going to do for the next recording. So now we're in the bit of a situation where we have an album out, we're promoting that, but now we're actually back in the studio, and those songs are pretty well formed. So it's between that and the first album, but we're also, when we practice, we're trying out new songs for whatever we're going to do for the next iteration. So it's always a constant rotating group. I mean, one song that always gets played, but it's not on this album, is called Lil. it's going to be on the next album.
Okay.
But I think we've almost played that probably 80% or 90% of the shows that we've played since we started.
Wow.
That was one of the first songs we kind of started working on too when we got together. So a lot of these songs have been kicking around for a while. But we try and do new stuff just to keep ourselves excited about things, and just to spice up stuff. We like to work on covers and throw an odd one in there.
What are some of your favorite covers to do?
Let's see.
Something Better Change by the Stranglers.
Ex-Lion Tamer by Wire, which we've been doing quite a bit. All Around the World by The Jam, we've been doing that one. We've done...
Off Wiedersehen by Cheap Trick.
Yeah.
Nice.
We're working on Telegram Sam by T-Rex.
Nice.
We did do Most Exclusive Residence for Sale by the Kinks.
Awesome.
Very early on. So it's like we would like to grab the good ones, but particularly the good ones that people don't know. Because that's, you want to make the songs your own. We're kicking around
Taylor Swift.
Not Taylor Swift. No, actually, we were thinking about doing that, finding a really popular song
we need to do
and just
something
murdering
current.
it, so that you turn it into something else. If you like, there's a band from Slovenia called Laibach, and they one album they put out, which was their reinterpretation of the entire Let It Be album by the Beatles.
Wow.
And if you've never heard it, and when I mean to hide from Pete when I mention this, because it's a Beatles song and I have to be nice to the Beatles.
Not a Beatles fan?
Who, me? Mm-hmm. The world has divided it up into three camps. Or actually, I've always been told people who love the Beatles and don't like the Rolling Stones, and people who love the Rolling Stones and don't like the Beatles. And then there's, I'm in kind of this majority, my extreme minority, people who don't really listen to the others. I listen to the Kinks and the Who. So at least that's how I've always explained life, as I understand it.
Like I said, he's a snob.
I am.
Bit of a hipster?
Pardon?
Hipster?
Hipster before hipster was a hipster.
Yeah.
Cooler than now.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
OG hipster?
Pardon?
OG hipster?
I don't know. What's an OG hipster?
I just made it up now, so don't worry about it.
Oh, gee, okay.
He burned his tongue on the pizza before it was cool.
Actually, that's what we had
Good
before
one.
we got here.
Well, we seem to pick songs that are kind of obscure, I guess, and maybe in some way, if people will think that they're actually our songs, they won't recognize them.
Yeah, I know. When we played Concord, it was a person came up and asked, "Do you play requests?" I went, "Not really. That's all original music." And then a younger gentleman came up to me, and he had a baseball cap and camouflage down vest, and he asked, "Can you play Freebird?" And I thought for the rest of
There's always that person.
There's always that person.
Yeah.
And I never for my life would even think that someone would think to come up to us and say, "Could you play Freebird?" So I actually proposed it and was voted down vigorously by the rest of the band. Because if we were to do
people what they want.
Yes, but if we were to do a version of that song and then it wasn't well received, then I'm not sure we're getting out of the parking lot at that point, because people will think that we're having a go at them a bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what would you say, as far as live performances goes, what would you say is your best and worst experiences so far?
Probably the best. We played in Lowell. We had a really great show at the.
It was the Last Safe.
Was that?
Yeah.
That was in
Yeah,
Lowell,
that's
right?
good.
Yeah, the Last Safe. Yeah, they don't book bands anymore.
That was another basement,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
Pardon? That was another basement. Yeah,
that was really good. It was just a great room. I felt like we all played great. We sounded great. The crowd there was really good. This was another gig set up by Ed Battles, who we've hooked up with, and Ed is great. That was a great experience. That was one of our best shows, and for me, it's always a great show when we play well and there's good reception. People seem to enjoy it. even if it's only 2 or 3 people, that's that's fine as long as we play well and people enjoy it. So, worst experience?
Worst experience? That's it's all relative.
Lunenburg.
Lunenburg. Yeah. Okay. Do you want me to tell that story?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we had the opportunity to actually have us film for video, and so Pete and I at the time we did not have a drummer, and even when we did, we couldn't get a drummer to go out to play in places, and so we decided the opportunity to play because they were going to give us video, and so we did, and it was at a place called the Drawbridge Theater, and the key word in this is that I left it out because it's the Drawbridge Puppet Theater.
Interesting.
Okay. Which was cool.
It was cool, a very cool place, but basically the only thing that showed up were the people who lived next door and the crickets from outside. And part of me now says that I can now make a Spinal Tap joke in that I can say, if I told them once, I told them 1,000 times, that they should say Positive Negative Man, then Puppet Theater, as opposed to the opposite on the marquee. So yes, like Spinal Tap, we played a Puppet Theater.
Awesome.
So you guys mentioned Ed Battles just briefly a second ago. Do you guys do a lot of shows with him, or?
We've done a bunch. We first met Ed last year. I think we played a show at Lowell at Thirsty First.
Yep.
And we've done a number of shows with him. The next time we will be playing live will be at Salisbury Beach at Uncle Eddie's Oceanside Tavern. That's another Ed's
nice.
Extravaganza. But yeah, no, it's an opportunity. He does a really good job. He gets gigs for bands, which is a lot different than a lot of places operate, because it's the music scene in Boston is very odd right now, in my opinion. There have been a whole number of places that have closed. It seems like we always end up playing there just before they close. Famous places like the Beachcomber on Quincy, that had been an operation for decades, going back to the 50s and earlier, and that just recently closed because of the real estate prices. And so a lot of places, there used to be places downtown Boston, they all closed, and now it seems as shifted from there out to Brighton and into Cambridge.
Mm-hmm.
But
Cambridge is a ton of shows there all the time now.
Yeah, between the Middle East and Club Bohemia, Lizard Lounge, Plow and Stars, and Somerville now, Union Square with PAs and Thunder Road.
And are you saying that the location of all of these old venues changing has shifted the music scene as well?
It's shifted the music scene because back in the 80s, 90s, there were clubs. There was the Channel. There was the Rat in Kenmore Square. It was in the city in and of itself, and so by having these venues close, the music scene will shift, and then it's a matter of access. I mean, to me, there's a music scene in North Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've played the Chit Chat Lounge. We love the Chit Chat Lounge. It was a great place to play, great venue, great atmosphere. So we love playing Haverhill, Lowell, places north of the city, because you can get there.
Yeah.
And you can park.
Yes.
You can feel relaxed. You don't feel, and there's actually people who will come out to see music. Whereas
and that's all. Those shows were through Ed too, and I think his passion for music it shows. And because he gives bands an opportunity to play, who normally probably wouldn't have a chance. There's just sometimes there aren't any places to play, and I think he does a great job of just at least setting up things for bands so you can just come and have people see and hear your music. And I don't know where he gets his energy from, but he's always on it, and he's he's doing some good stuff.
Yeah, Eddie's an awesome dude. I've met him probably 5 or 6 times now, and every time he's been a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
And I've never heard of anybody having any issues with Eddie.
Yeah.
He's a really good drummer too. I don't know if you guys have ever seen him play drums.
We've never
no.
seen him. I mean, he's always there, kind of just making sure things are going right, and working the PA and helping out the bar. Where we are, he's always like buzzing around and doing stuff. So his passion for music, I think you can see it. And he enjoys hearing music, and we'd love to see him play at some point.
Yeah.
Before you go into the lightning round.
Oh, we've still got one more question before
Oh,
that.
okay. Well, can I sneak this one in?
Yeah, sneak as many as you want.
All right. If you could pick any band or artist to tour with, who would it be?
Does it have to be living or dead?
I think
Not the dead. No, not the dead. No.
Well, for me currently, I mean, Tame Impala, I think those guys are amazing. I would just say, just try to keep it current, because who knows, it might actually happen, and maybe they'll hear this. Hey.
Yeah, I know. Or for
know.
me, it would be either it would be Mission of Burma, obviously, and or Wire from England, because they've been around for quite long, and then that's one band that I've always have adored and have seen a number of times as well. So yeah, those would be the two. I'm very English centric with my music, so I try to anybody actually, if you think about it, except for Justin Bieber.
He's not
He's
English.
Canadian.
He's Canadian.
He's Canadian?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, we're not touring with Justin. Sorry. Can't deal with the entourage.
So, what can you tell me about your instruments? Mike, I know you have several guitars. I've seen you.
Several.
Yes.
Several is an underestimate. I have too many guitars. That's my problem. Generally, I play different things. When you saw me play up at Sadie's, I was using a Gretsch hollow body guitar.
Yep.
Then I broke the string, pop. Then I went to a who makes it? An Eastwood remake of a guitar, which is basically, it's called a 2x4.
Yeah.
It literally looks like a 2x4. It's a neck with an extension on it. I think they were made by a company called LePage. And the reason I know about this guitar is that from old pictures of Devo, one of them has one of these originals. And it has these great pickups on it. Then spring breaks. Then I break out my Austin Hatchet, which is basically even smaller than the plank, because the thing is, I would bring all these guitars because I just had this plague of string breakage. But I play Burns guitars. I will play anything that is not a Fender or a Gibson guitar, because everyone plays a Gibson or Fender guitar. Yeah. So why do I want to sound like anybody else?
That's true.
And so then there's the whole embarrassing array of effects, and then it goes into a JC120, a Roland JC120, or now I'm playing through a Guild Thunder 1 amplifier that was made in the 60s.
Wow.
So it's so I like to find odd things to play, because it just makes it different.
Yeah.
Let's see, I'm playing, usually it's a Den Electro Longhorn bass, and it's through like an Ampeg flip top bass cabinet that I think Mike procured from the, it used to be the property of the Waltham High School.
Yes.
So hopefully it was used, like in a jazz band or, some kind of, rocking outfit, but it just has a great sound. I've been playing like a Fender Precision bass, but I'm, like I said, with this band I'm playing bass, so I'm kind of it's been a little bit different for me, because in previous bands I played guitar, and I'm just kind of approaching the music a little bit differently, but yeah, Mike, he's got a multitude of effects and gear, and most of which I've been able to borrow and use, and yeah,
Nice.
it's been good.
Speaking of effects, you say you experiment a lot with atmospheric
Yes.
sounds. Do you have any favorite composers, like film composers?
Film composers.
Danny Elfman, he
Danny
likes.
Elfman.
There you
yeah.
go.
Well,
Philip Glass, he likes.
Philip Glass is very dramatic.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking more along the lines of, I'm trying to remember their names, but they are the people who wrote the soundtracks for Akira Kurosawa movies. And I try to remember his name. It's not hitting me, but there was another Japanese composer named Honda, who I believe did most, if not all, of the early Godzilla movies.
Oh, okay.
And so it's interesting how you hear this orchestral music and it goes through the Japanese filter, and then it comes out off kilter sideways. That's what I love about Japanese culture, is that they take something, they look at it, they put their own spin on it, and then out comes something else that's totally interesting and new. So that for a while there, you could not pry the band the Polysticks out of my CD player, because it's interesting. Because they took their influences, Devo and these other bands, and then they put it through, and out comes this amazing thing that is a combination lyric-wise of Japanese, English, and gibberish. But
Wow.
It works. It works. I love bands from overseas that don't sing in English, because I just hear tones then. I don't hear words. A lot of times lyrics don't matter to me. It's all the tones and how they all fit together. So American composers, I'm just at a loss. Sergio Leone.
Oh, well, isn't he?
Ennio Morricone.
Ennio
Morricone. Sergio Leone movies. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
He just won an Oscar this year for the first time.
Yeah. But anything.
Oh, John Williams is great. I mean,
Is he too mainstream for you?
John Williams.
Yep.
It's probably yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I mean, but you think of any soundtrack that he's done, and
Right.
it's memorable. I
Yeah.
mean, you just have to mention the movie and the music. It automatically, it.
Elmer Bernstein. That's another one I can think of. He did a lot of classic movies from the 60s and 70s. He's the brother of Leonard Bernstein, I believe.
Oh, okay.
John Barry is good. I mean, Henry Mancini. If we're talking soundtrack stuff. Yeah.
Nice.
Lightning round?
Will I get shocked?
Probably not.
Am I grounded? I should be.
So we've made a change here to one of these questions,
Okay.
just because
Alright.
it wasn't quite to standards.
Yes, it wasn't. It was a little too mean spirited for my liking.
Oh.
So
okay.
I changed it.
Yeah.
So do you want to go first?
So what's the rules? What's the parameters here?
Don't think, just answer.
Okay,
Yeah.
one at a time or simultaneously, or how do you want to do this?
one at a time?
I guess one at a
Yeah,
time.
One at a
because
time?
then,
All right.
then it gets
Okay.
confusing.
Right. Okay.
All right. So, 3 favorite musicians.
Roger Miller, Hugh Cornwell, Geordie Walker.
Paul McCartney, Jimmy Page, Ace Frehley.
Favorite TV show?
Current or all
Doesn't
time?
all
Doesn't
time.
matter.
Oh. That's hard.
Star Trek for me. I mean, Star Trek, Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Outer Limits.
There you go. Favorite ice cream flavor.
Chocolate.
I like vanilla a lot, actually. Really good vanillas.
Wow.
Can't be
I'm
beat.
not
Very
surprised.
basic, guys. I'm a little disappointed.
I mean, unless you want to go into Cherry Garcia or
No, you're going down the dead road again. Stop it.
Rainforest Crunch.
We've had
What did you say?
Rainforest Crunch.
Rainforest Crunch.
That's something that actually Ben and Jerry's doesn't even make anymore. It's in their cemetery of dead flavors. If you go to the
Do they have tombstones?
place in
or are they
Vermont.
mausoleum?
Yeah, they actually do.
Or do they
Wow.
cremate the formula?
ingredients?
No, there are actually tombstones that have the flavor, the names that are discontinued on there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
They have a lot of money.
Yeah.
No, they have too much money. That's too much time.
Favorite album, all time.
Wow.
That's a totally I don't know. It's almost an unanswerable question because it kind of changes sometimes for me.
The idea is to not think.
I don't know.
First one that comes to mind.
It's I'll say Revolver, I guess.
Nice.
No More Heroes by the Stranglers.
All right, and this is the one that we changed. Least favorite movie. And it could be least favorite in a great way, you know?
Uh-huh.
Like favorite bad movie.
Oklahoma.
Really? All right.
I don't know.
Any musical. Thank you.
I'm not a fan of musicals myself.
Nate, find me the plot. You need a microscope to find the plot.
I can't really think of anything at this point. Something that I just totally dislike. I don't know.
It doesn't. I guess what I have in mind, it doesn't have to be something you dislike. It's just
Okay.
something that you know is bad, but you still enjoy.
Oh. That's a different question.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's-
That it really is. The Raven,
Okay.
And you're talking like favorite bad movie.
favorite horrible
Yes.
bad
Yeah.
movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Raven with Peter Lorre, Boris Karloff, and Vincent Price.
Nice.
I don't think it's a bad movie, but other people might. I mean, Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon's a great
amazing.
movie. All
I
right.
mean, the soundtrack by Queen. I mean, what can you
Yeah.
say?
I play it at
it's-
work every once in a while just to keep the rabble at bay.
I mean, it's not a bad movie at all, but other people might. It's probably a good answer to the question, I guess.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'll accept it.
And this is the last one. Least favorite school subject.
Religion.
Was that a school subject for you back then?
I went to parochial school.
Oh, there you go.
For me, it was any kind of math, I guess, like
Oh my
algebra,
God, same.
or whatever.
Same. So bad. So bad. So that was the lightning round.
Oh, okay. Well, I seem to have survived it.
Yeah, you made it through
One
just
piece.
fine.
Uh-huh. I mean, if you're looking for really bad, awful movies that were really good, any Godzilla movie. I mean, anybody in a rubber suit jumping around.
Yeah.
Well, then there
crushing
was
those
the
are-
actual bad Godzilla movie with Matthew Broderick.
Oh, I know. But that was CGI. They didn't have the man in the suit.
You need the man in the suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, probably the worst one of those, it was called Reptilicus. It was made in Denmark.
Oh.
They would show it on the Creature double feature every once in a while. The
Oh, man.
acting was terrible. And Reptilicus's horrible power is that he would spew stuff on whatever he was trying to kill, acid, I don't know what it is. And so whenever you would see Reptilicus was there, you'd see this animated yellow ooze go down the front of the screen.
Nice. Nice.
They didn't quite really get the whole idea in Denmark, I think.
Yeah.
Ooh, I've actually got a music question that just popped in my head. What are your thoughts on the status of the record industry in today's world?
I don't know. It seems like things have really changed, and if I don't think that companies are interested in investing a lot of money in bands, money and time in bands anymore. I think you have to do all the work before they might even approach you. Those are the big companies. So I think, but there are a great number of independent labels and artists who are just kind of doing it on their own and making it happen. And I think, obviously with the internet, I mean, there's just more exposure for everything and for everyone. That can sometimes be a bad thing, but I don't know. It's kind of in a weird state right now, I think.
Yeah, the thing is, the different laws that are out there that protect musicians have not caught up to technology at this point. Different services that allow for downloading pay you a tenth, a hundredth of a cent for one listen. You can't eat that. You can't live on it. You just stare at it and wonder, what can you actually do with something like that? And so the economics of the music industry have shifted in a very odd way, in that back in the old days, you would tour to support your album. It was all about album sales. And so that's where all these great tours in the 70s and 80s happened. Now it's actually flipped around, in that the money is now being made in the tours, and that you're doing the album to promote the tours.
Yeah, and merchandise,
Yeah.
and I mean,
So-
you have to get out there, and I mean,
And
that's
so
where you make the
it
money.
isn't the music. It's exactly that. It's the T-shirts. It's all that
Yeah.
other stuff that actually will make coin for the musician. The unfortunate thing is now is we talked about venues and where the music scene is, and I know that there's a lot of concern amongst musicians about the idea of pay for play,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that we were recently approached to go do a talent show where we would get 25 minutes, and we had to guarantee that we're going to have to sell 35 tickets before they would even have us on board. And at a pop at $13, that now means that we're going to have to front up $400 or $500.
Mm-hmm.
We can use that money to put out our new album. We could use that to help pay for our publicist or for other things.
Yeah.
That is for 25 minutes of exposure to a group of judges. We're paying the judges. Economically, that makes no sense for us to do something like that. And so and so if you're trying to create music and you're trying to get somewhere, you now have to have an independent means in order to fund to do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of having a venue that you can go play, and that the people who have you at the venue, they're making their money not on the admission at the door, they're making it from what people are buying from the bar. They're buying food from the kitchen. That's how it used to be. Now it's changed, and so the burden for production, I already said that twice, for advertisement and all that, that's on the band.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's changed, and so you have to realize that what you are trying to be is a savvy business group to try to find your way through this, because right now it's hard. And I think it's going to be hard for quite some time, because no one has quite figured your way around this, but people are going to be looking to make a large amount of money without a lot of effort on their part. And it's a lot of effort to put music together to do what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, you have to balance that, with, your passion and your creativity, but you also have to have some kind of financial, ideas or plans. And sometimes it's hard to, if you just want to just play music and just enjoy yourself and have a great time, but how do you support yourself, right?
Yeah. No, the internet has changed things tremendously, but in not the positive way that you were sold when it first happened. Everyone's going to get access to music, but how that access is gotten and how you end up trying to reimburse what your time and effort putting in, it's not equal.
Same thing with film and television.
Yes. Yes, it's entirely across it's across the whole entertainment industry, and demographics have changed. One discussion that we've had is, do we put out an album or do we put out a single? Because now people's attention spans, can they actually sit down and listen to something for 30, 40 minutes all the way through to get a complete thought?
Yeah.
And for me, I can do that. I buy CDs all the time, but I'm a bit of a dinosaur on that, because I happen to just like to physically have stuff. I don't download anything because it doesn't get the money back to the artist, and I think it would be hypocritical of me to do that.
Well, even established artists have a hard time keeping themselves in the spotlight or in the conversation, especially if some time has gone from your last album. There's usually there's always going to be some new music that kind of gets pushed to the forefront, and you kind of that's where you end up doing appearances for companies and for dignitaries of other countries, for birthday parties and in other countries, just to make some money.
Right.
How long have you been promoting your last album? Because I know there's artists today that will release singles from the same album over the span of like a year and a half.
Right. It was released December of last year, and so we're still putting out. But the other thing that happened is the music industry really changed in a profound way when the CD happened, because albums were at a certain price, CDs were that price plus, and so people felt the obligation to put as much music as you can onto a single CD. So what used to be a vinyl album, and then you may have a 45 with B-sides on it, now it all ended up on the album. So now you got a CD with 18, 19 songs. Now if you do the math, your regular vinyl album would have roughly 5 to 6 songs on each side. So that's 12 songs. Now if you do the math, if you do 3 CDs, you've actually done 5 albums. Bands burn out with their output because they were actually writing a lot more to justify the price. And so what I think has happened is that now with things going back to vinyl, you're not seeing really new bands unless they're very large coming out with vinyl, because it costs a lot of money to produce vinyl. Mm-hmm. I believe the mechanical cost to get a vinyl out to get maybe 100 is something around $3,000-4,000.
Wow.
It's not inexpensive. And so it's a time commitment to come up with the money. You just can't, it just doesn't materialize out of nowhere. And so what was happening is that you'd have bands put out a CD, and then you don't hear from them for 2 years because it takes them that amount of time to come up with another set of songs that they've already burnt themselves out. They're on their 3rd or 4th album by that time. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that we will tend to do is we're going to go back to when things were successful, okay? And that means 10 songs at most on any release, because then we know that there are going to be 10 killer songs, because we've rehearsed them, we know that they're good, we know that they have an impact, and we played them out so that you know that they work. Mm-hmm. And so that way you can then perpetuate the creative. Always have something that you're going to promote, have something you're recording, and then creating at the same time. You don't want to go into the studio and have to write the album in the studio. Deep Purple did that, I believe, after they did Machine Head, and they went to a studio in Italy and spent 9 months because it was next to a vineyard, and it decided to attempt to drain the vineyard.
Oh my!
That whole time, and they had nothing at the time when they went into the studio. That's the word. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to do that. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of money. And unfortunately, it does come down to, do you have the cash and money to put a product out? Mm-hmm. It's not just an artistic effort. It's a whole bunch of different things that you have to put in the line. Yeah. Do
you have any other pieces of advice for promising young artists?
I would just say just keep playing, just enjoy what you're doing, and just play in whatever capacity you can. And,
yeah, definitely. You just keep at it. The thing is that you can't get yourself into a single line of thinking. You got to be flexible. You have to be like a bamboo shirt in a hurricane. You have to be very bendy, but you have to know when not to break.
Well, and have fun too, and
fun.
Just that's
fun is good.
It's, if you're not
that's with an F, not a PH. Okay.
And if you're not having fun, then then what's it all for?
What's the point?
It's you're just working.
Right.
Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. Thanks for coming in, you guys.
Thank you.
We'll have to have you back after the next album, maybe. That'll be cool.
Sure.
Yeah, we're hoping. Sometime before the end of the year. Yeah. Because we had, unfortunately, it will take getting a number of different people all to meet at the same point, mm-hmm. and then having the time to basically get that finished. Because right now we're into overdubs and laying down vocals, and then there's the mixes, then there's the final mix, then the mastering, then the production. That's to get it just to the point of production.
Yeah.
And so that will take weeks, if not months, and luck and effort and
Just hope
patience.
nothing goes wrong. Yeah.
Well, you always have to expect it will go wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to be flexible on how you deal with the wrongness. So,
Yeah.
Well, we wish you the best of luck.
well, thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
it.
Thank you so much.
And this has been another awesome edition of Off the Record. Thank you for listening, everybody.